Hi and welcome back to Blooming in Brisbane. Today I'm going to have a little bit of a chat about fruit fly control. It's usually at this time of the year that most of our fruiting trees are starting to bear their young fruit. So the likes of peaches and nectarines, even apples and pears, those warmer climate forms, will also be forming their young fruit. But of course this is also a dangerous time of the year for many of our fruit, as our fruit flies will be well and truly on guard for getting into those fruits. So we need to take a few steps in how we can actually control them. Most people in a few years ago would probably be running to some very heavy use of chemicals, and I think most people these days are gravitating away from that these days. But there are different methods that we can use, and most of them happily have to be organic. To begin with, what we can start with by doing is actually attaching some fruit fly traps in your trees. This is an important step that we can all take. These are readily available at most nurseries and garden centres these days, and what they are aimed at doing is not to actually catch the female fruit fly, but to actually reduce the numbers of male fruit fly that will eventually try and mate with the females, who in turn will go and try and sting the fruit to lay their eggs. This is a very effective means, and you can see there actually are some male dead fruit flies in here. This is from my garden, and we'll take a closer look at these later on, but this is a very effective method. My suggestion is, if you have several fruit trees, hang several of these around your garden towards the outside, of course, of the tree. That is where most of the male fruit flies tend to congregate, or be on the outside, whereas the females come and go from the centre of the tree all the time, and that's where they mate on the wings. So this is an important part of or the first step in controlling fruit fly outbreak in your backyard. So if you happen to get yourself some of these fruit fly traps, it's good to know how they actually work in your garden. So by hanging them around, they don't just climb in there for no apparent reason. Inside that particular trap is an artificial pheromone that mimics the female pheromone given off by the female fruit fly. So all the male fruit flies come in there thinking they can find a female. In actual fact, it is chemical based, and you can actually smell it. It's a little bit, you can be aware of it in your garden as well, but this is what stops the males from actually getting to the female, because once they're in, they want to hang around, and of course they die because they are poisoned because of the poison inside of theirs. There are other fruit fly traps available, like dack pots and all different things that actually are based on molasses and a whole range of different products. But this one here I find to be the most effective. One really important thing with this type of fruit fly trap is that as you see the male fruit flies actually building up in their numbers, it truly indicates how active they are in your garden. So the least amount of fruit flies, don't think that you're not catching them. It actually is telling you that you don't have a lot of activity, and that's a very, very good thing. One thing you can try and do is maybe give one or two to each of your neighbours as well. We need to try and reduce the amount of fruit fly activity happening in our backyards and our environment. And if your neighbours can come on board and help you with this, it'll be so much easier as well. And keep a track of what they're doing. Go out there and empty their traps every now and then, and it's a great way of reducing the chances of getting your fruit attacked by fruit fly this fruiting season. Now, we mentioned about the female fruit fly, and of course, yes, you can spray with things. There are several products on the market these days that are based on spinosad, which is a very, very important bacteria that gets into the gut of the fruit fly and actually stops them or kills the female fruit fly as well as the male. Now, most people think, well, how do I apply these products on there? Do I spray the fruit? Well, not. You need to spray the stem, or you need to spray the surrounding foliage, or you can actually spray little boards that you hang up as well. I take it one step further, and I'll just show you what I apply in my own garden. Now, this is direct from my garden. It's a little dirty, but this is an old milk bottle, and I've cut out a window at the back and a window out the front, or on the side, I should say, and I've painted the top a little bit yellow. Now, yellow is said to be an attractant for fruit fly, and when you use your spinosad product, this one here is a little bit more tacky, and I tend to use this one, but I put it up inside the bottle. I spray it up inside there. That way it remains weatherproof. being organic products that are on the market, they can be washed off with a bout of rain, or even if you're watering by mistake, they can also be washed off. So ensuring that they are in a particular area that is dry, you'll find that the product will last a lot longer for you. So I spray up on the inside of this milk bottle, and I keep the bottom there because as the females start to eat, they actually can die in a very short period of time. So this actually indicates to me as to how frequently the females are going in and out of my tree. So I have several of these hanging up in my fruit trees at home, and it seems to work very, very well. It does actually control their outbreak. And of course, it's free. Now, if by chance the inevitable does happen and the fruit flies do get to your fruit, this sometimes can happen. We are living in Queensland after all. There are other ways of excluding them from your garden. And of course, you can buy these little exclusion bags, and they fit over the fruit quite beautifully, and they hang on the branch. The fruit flies can't get through them. That is really too fine for them, but it allows all the sunlight and airflow for the fruit to keep producing and continue to actually form in the way it should do. Now, if your tree is a large tree, it can be difficult to go and put this on every single fruit. It is a difficult thing, and of course that's great for smaller dwarfing trees or fruit trees, for instance, that are a little bit smaller that you can get to and wrap it around the fruit. But if your tree happens to be on a larger scale, you know, this is mosquito netting. It's simple, it's inexpensive, it's easy to get at most of the outlets out there. Mosquito netting, you can wrap this around the likes of pawpaw trees, citrus trees, or nectarines, any fruit trees that you feel might actually be affected by fruit fly. It may look a little odd to begin with, but you'll find that the end results are the best way to go. And of course, prevention is always best, and that's one of the things we need to remember. Now, if you find that after everything that you have done, that you are still finding grubs in your fruit, you may need to resort to some of the more potent chemicals on the market. But bear in mind that some of those chemicals do also have a withholding period, and it's usually up to about 3 weeks. But you can be guaranteed that those will also kill any grub or egg that may be developing within the fruit. Now, fruit fly is part of Queensland gardening. It's something we all need to accept, but there are stages that we can do to sort of keep things under control and reduce the effects. One last thing is, if any fruit does happen to form underneath the tree or fall underneath the tree, remove it. That is a fantastic place for those fruit fly larvae to escape and go into the ground and start the entire process again. So a little bit of hygiene is always worthwhile.
Coming up next, I visit the Roachdale Community Garden on the south side of Brisbane.
Queensland Organics has been manufacturing a range of high quality organic and organic-based fertilisers since 1995.
I use Organic Extra exclusively through my entire garden. Not only does it promote strong, healthy, lush growth in all my foliage plants, but it also enhances the flowering of my heliconias and gingers. The fact that it is organic and slow release and doesn't alter the structure of the soil has to be a bonus.